Hey everyone, it's Kathy, and you're back here in my craft room and on my YouTube channel, Kathy's Random Acts of Stampin'. Thanks so much for tuning in. Many of you already know that I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm located here in the beautiful state of North Carolina, and I want to welcome you in today. I have been promising that we were going to do a folio, so today we're going to start it. This is probably going to be a three-part series to be able to teach you how to make the folio, put it together. I'm going to do everything from cutting every piece to putting each piece together, and I'm going to go step by step and hopefully make this easy that anyone can make it. Now this is what our folio is going to look like once it's finished. This is a 5x7. It's a very cute little folio, and it folds out here with a pocket, and it folds out here with a pocket, and then you have your inside piece that folds out and then folds out again. This piece folds out and folds out again. You have this little gatefold in the middle that folds out, and these are pockets. And so it's just a really cute little folio, and everything kind of folds back onto itself via the word folio. And I'm going to give you all of the instructions. Oops, it goes this way. I'm going to give you all of the instructions. I'm also going to have a PDF up that's going to give you every measurement and pictures on how to put this together. So hopefully I can make this easy enough that any of us can make one of these. It squares up really nicely, you can see here. And what I'm going to do, today's video is going to consist of cutting and putting it together. So when we finish this video, we'll have this right here. And then tomorrow I will show you how I cut all of my pieces and put down all of my designer series paper to make this beautiful. And then the following day I will show you how I go about decorating and putting my place cards in there for putting pictures in. So hopefully that will take you 1, 2, and 3, and that's what we want to do. Keep it really easy. Here are the supplies you're going to need. You're going to need 5 pieces of a color cardstock. I chose black because most any designer series paper will go with black, or any of your pattern paper. Anything looks good on black, so I chose black. You can choose whatever cardstock you prefer. I have my wet glue. I'm going to set that right there. A pencil with an eraser. That's going to be very important. A circle punch, and this is a 1-inch circle punch, and you're going to need that to do the little moon-shaped openings for your pocket. I'm going to just set that back over there for now. You're going to need a trimmer and a scoreboard. Yes, I could use this, but I know that many of you do not have this particular trimmer that has the scoring mechanism built in. So for that reason, I'm going to turn to my Simply Scored scoring tool. So we'll use this scoreboard. This is our trimmer, and we're going to go ahead and put this thing together. So the first thing I'm going to do is move my scoreboard because we need to cut our pieces first. So I am going to go back and forth between cutting and scoring because I don't want you to get confused. So what we're going to do first, and I got my notes here because I wrote my notes down as I did this. We are going to take our first piece of cardstock, and we need to cut this down to 7 by 11. Now we know that it's 8.5 by 11 already, so all we need to do is cut off of our 8.5-inch side. So put your 8.5-inch side into your trimmer, and we're going to cut this to 7. Very simple, and that will give us 7 by 11. So that's our first piece. 7 inches this way, 11 inches this way. And then, so I don't confuse you, I'm going to bring up my Simply Scored scoreboard, and we're going to score this. So let's put this piece in on our 11-inch side, and I'm going to use, and I'm going to show you, I'm using thick cardstock, so I suggest you use your heaviest weight cardstock. I wouldn't go with the Not Your Mama's cardstock, but I would use a nice at least 100 to 110 pound weight if you have cardstock that's by weight. If you don't and you're using the Stampin' Up! Brand cardstock, it's plenty thick enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to score this at 2.5. And a secret, if you're doing cardstock that's heavy, if you would lay your stylus or your scoring tool down low and follow your line down, that will keep you from jumping. You have more of a tendency to jump, and you know what I'm talking about if you've done any scoring, where it will jump the track and you'll go over. If you lay your scoring tool down nice and flat like that, it will not jump out of the track as easy. So we're going to score at 2.5 and then at 3. So come over 1/2 inch at 3 and score that. And I'm going over my score lines because, like I said, this is really thick. Now we need to do the same thing on this end. So what's the easiest thing to do? Just turn your piece of paper all the way around and do the 2.5, and then 3. All right, so now we can go ahead and fold these. You want to fold all of your lines really well. This is where you really need a bone folder. So I'm going to bring in my bone folder, and I'm just going to really crease those lines really well, making sure everything stands squared. That's important. Just like that. And you will see that this is giving you, this is our base piece. So this is giving you the spine. There's your spines on both sides, 1/2 inch. Everything will fold into these 2 spines. So set this piece aside and let's get our next piece. And we're going to need 2 of these. So you're going to need 2 pieces cut 6 3/4 by 10 3/4. So 6 3/4 this way on the 8.5 inch side to the top of the trimmer. 6 3/4. So that's going to go right to there, and we're going to slice. Then we're going to turn it around on the 11 inch side, and we need to cut this at 10 3/4. So 10 3/4 would be right here. And I'm always very cautious when I'm cutting to make sure everything is squared up. So we need 2 of these, so we're going to do that again. I'm going to set that piece up there. And we're going to cut this piece on the 8.5 inch side. We're going to cut it to 6 3/4. And then turn it to the 11 inch side and cut it at 10 3/4. Now we have those 2 pieces. Let's do the scoring on those 2. Okay, on this piece, we're going to score at 2.5. Let me get my scoring tool. I think I might use my bone folder on this. It might work a little bit better. No, I'm going to use my scoring tool. On this piece, we're going to score at 2.5. 2 3/4. So we're going to come over just 1/4 inch, 2 3/4. Stay as low down to that paper as you can. And then we're going to come over to 7 3/4. So 7 3/4 is right there. Okay, so now we're going to take the other piece and we're going to do the same thing. Put it in on the 10 3/4 inch side, and we're going to score it at 2 1/2. And 2 3/4. Oh, it jumped off track. Did y'all see that? That's what I'm talking about. Anytime you're using a good thick cardstock, it can be a little tedious, but that's okay. Don't worry about that because we're going to be covering it with designer series paper. No one will ever know. Then we're going to come over to 7 3/4 and try to stay low. Sometimes just working the score line like that as you go down will help too. Then you can just come back up and go like that. And there's our second piece done. So let's move our scoreboard and bring these two pieces over, and we're going to do the same thing with these. We're going to fold and burnish all of our lines, all of our score marks, and get them nice and flat as you can. And then we're going to do this one. Now these are close together, so sometimes the ones that are close together can be a little harder. So I'm going to do the outside one first. Get a nice crease on it. And then I'm going to bend up like that. And get a nice crease on it as well. Then you want to come back out and make sure that one is creased, because this is giving us another little binding edge on one side of this. One side lays flat, one side has a little bit of a binding. So let's do the next piece, and always fold into your ridged, raised up area. That just works so much better with getting a precise fold. So that piece will lay flat, so that one's easy. So now let's do that first one, or I should say the second one. So we're going to do that one and get it nice and flat. And then once you get that one, then we're going to come back in and press down on that second one. And press it down really good, then bring it up, and again you should have that little tiny bit of a spine. So now you have these two pieces. You have the spine and the spine, just like that. So let's bring over, well, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and finish. We're still going to need another piece. Actually, we need 3 more pieces. So I'm going to lay these over here. Let's cut one more piece. This piece is going to be 6 3/4. So this is going to be an easy cut. Cut it on the 8 1/2 inch side. So 6 3/4. About 10. And this one's just going to get 2 fairly simple score marks. We're going to put it in on the 10-inch side across the top, and we're going to score this one at 2 1/2. And I'll always make sure that I push up on my paper to make sure that everything is all the way up into that corner. So we're going to go to 2 1/2, and I'm going to go low. And then we're going to come over to 7 1/2. So very easy. 2 1/2 and 7 1/2. And then we're going to turn these over and we're just going to burnish them down. Oops. Sometimes works better on a flat piece. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way because that's all the scoring. We have finished with all of our scoring. So let's just set that down out of our way and let's go ahead and get these burnished down nice and tight. And that gives you that perfect little gatefold in the center. Just like that. All right, we need 2 more pieces. So there, thus our last and 5th piece of cardstock. And we are going to cut this 4 by 7, and we need 2 of these. So I know that my 8-inch side is here. Let's go ahead and cut it off on the 8-inch side to 7. And then let's cut this down to 4. And then do one more at 4. And these are your 2 pieces that measure 7 inches by 4 inches. So those are all of our pieces. Now all's left to do is put everything together. So here are all our pieces. There's our base. There's our 2 pieces that's going to live inside. This is the piece that everything's going to attach to, and these are flaps for each side that's going to give us our openings. So I'm going to set those up there because they'll go on last. I'm going to take our base and set it up because we're going to work on what's going to be our middle piece, which is going to be this one piece that was folded flat. This is the 6 3/4 by 10, and we scored it at 2.5 and 7.5. And look what a beautiful fold that makes in the middle. Absolutely gorgeous. So what we want to do with this is we want a spine. Make sure that your spine is to the inside. And you want to fold that spine down where it's flat and the edge is under. See how I got that piece with the spine under? That's how you want that to lay, because we're going to attach it to this piece and it's going to make a pocket right here. But that piece needs to be laying flat so that these fit together. See what I mean? That spine is flat under there. Now before you go any further, you're going to want to notch this piece. Now on mine, I went ahead and notched both of them. See how both is notched? But you want that notch. Mine did not line up completely even as I wanted it to. It's not bad, but it is off just a tiny bit. Normally we would only do this piece here. So let me show you how you can get that where it will be perfect. We know that this is 6 3/4. I'm going to use my Tim Holtz ruler. What I like to do is use my Tim Holtz ruler, and if you have one of these things are so great for centering because it makes it so easy. You put your 0 where you think your center may be, and then you look at the edges over here, and you want to have the same amount of ruler on one side as you do the other. So like this would be 3.5. I don't have 3.5 over here, so I know I need to move it a little bit more this way. So when you get that where it's about the same, and right there on that line is perfect from the 3, and it's the same amount here, so I know that's my center without having to measure or try to figure out fractions and all that. This ruler makes it so easy. So I'm just going to make a line right there, and I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I pretty much know where my line's at now, so to make it a lot easier for me to center it. Oh, not this one. I'm sorry. the other one that has the spine on it. The two that we cut that are the same, you want to do the side that has the spine, but make sure that you are laying that spine flat on that very first fold line. If you have it facing you, this is the one where you have no score line on that side, but the 1/4 inch right here. Make sure that that is laying flat on that first score line. So it's like the second one is underneath it. This one is laying flat. So I'm going to open that up, and as you can see, that this side I already done. So now I'm going to grab this one and do the same thing, making sure that that fold line is laying flat. Fold that out and mark it on this side. So I'm going to turn that over. Let me make sure I did this one. I did this one wrong too. Alright, we're going to do both of them this time. I'm going to lay them like this. And it's going to be fairly easy, like I said, to get the center of this because we know where it should fall. So right about there and there. And I'm going to make my line. Then I'm going to come down to this one and make my line. Now it's on the right piece, on the right side where it needs to be so we can see it. So that was a roundabout way of getting there, but you know what, we still got it. So that's what we needed our pencil for, so that we can make sure that our little notches that we're going to make, and we're going to be using that little 1-inch circle punch. So now that you've got those where you can see the center, you can very easily come in with your little circle, and I got glue on my fingers, y'all. See it hanging off? I don't see it until I put it on the black paper, and then I can see it hanging off of my thumb. Look at that. It's definitely glue. Alright, so I'm going to hold this, and I'm going to put that in, and I'm going to center it up the best that I can. And that looks like that's about halfway. See the little tick mark in there? That looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that out. And then I'm going to do the same thing to this one because I can see my tick mark. And if you want to, you could put these two together. That might be the better way to do it. Put these two together and then go in and line it up completely even with that one. Pull that one out. Oops. Well, put it back together just like that. Go in. You can almost feel where it's at, and just pop it out. That will be an easy way to get that just like you need it. So now our flat piece is what these are going to attach to. So what you want to do, now if you didn't want pockets here, you wouldn't have to do all this. You just glue these two pieces together and go on about your day. But I like the idea of having some little pockets where you can tuck some little photo mats in there, or some tags or whatever. I think it just really adds to your little folio. So what we're going to do on this flat piece, I'm going to put glue on each side and the bottom. So I want to make sure I leave that open, that's top edge open, because that's where our pocket's going to be. So I'm going to take and run glue, and I'm going to open it up this way so I can see better where my edge is at. Just run a thin bead of glue down both sides. And I'll be right back. I am so sorry about that. I got a phone call just as I was gluing this down, and I had to take the phone call, but I glued this, and what I did is I glued on the bottom and each side. Bella, stop. But I do have another one to do, so I will definitely show you how to do that. I am going to go and let my dog out, and I'll be right back, and then we're going to put this side in. And again, remember that it is your side that has the little gusset on it. The 1/4 inch gusset is what glues against this piece, but make sure you flatten that out so that your gusset is under the bottom, so that when you glue this together, they're going to meet up and be perfectly together, and it will glue. This one glued to the left side of your piece. This one's going to glue to the right side. Actually, I think she got okay, so maybe I don't have to let her out right this minute. What we're going to do, and I have got messages coming in. I do apologize. It has just been a busy morning for me. So hold on one second and let me check this. So thank y'all for giving me that opportunity just for a second. So what we're going to do is on the piece, on this piece here, I'm going to put glue around the bottom and the sides, just like this. And you just want to make sure your pieces are good and flat, and especially this piece that has that little gusset under there. See what I mean? The gusset's to the back, and I've pressed everything down flat. So that's the way you want that to be. And what we're going to do, I'm going to open it up this way, and I'm going to run a bead of glue up the side and up this side and then across the bottom. And then we're going to take that gusset side, let me get it back where, like it's supposed to be, like this, and we're going to bring these two pieces together. So laying this one to the right, you're just going to bring these two pieces together nice and even and close them down. Press down against your surface so to make sure that you are getting them glued at the bottom as well as the sides. And I like to push in just a tiny bit just to kind of open that pocket a little bit. So if you just press in a little bit as it's gluing together, and I like to take my bone folder and come over and just press those sides down and then press across my bottom just to make sure everything is adhered. And there is our pockets. Now after this dries, I'm going to take my bone folder like I did this one, and I'm going to go in. You want to wait for your glue to dry. Just go in and just feel that pocket out. That's what I like to call it. And what this does, it opens your pocket a little bit so that it's ready to take in some stuff. So I'm going to give this one a little bit of time to dry before I go there with it. So now what you want to do is put this down together. See how you got that little opening right there that came together? That one actually looks better than the one I did on my prototype. So we're going to fold this over, fold that down, and fold this over. This is now the piece that's going to go into our base. Now remember, the base was that first piece that we cut, and we have that 1/2 inch score line on each side and the 2.5 inches here on both sides. So this piece now, making sure your opening is to the front, close everything together, and this back space right here is what is going to glue into here. Now you can put this in either way you want to. If you want to use some tear and tape, if you want to use the Stamp and Seal, or if you just want to use your wet glue, it's totally up to you. I find that my wet glue works just as good as anything else, and I just put a good amount. Of course, you know it don't take a whole lot, but I just go ahead and put a good amount of glue all over the back. I want to make sure every little bit is covered with some glue, especially around the edges where it might get a little bit more stress. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to turn this sideways because I'm holding it like this, and I got everything squared up, and I'm going to sit this down into here between those two score marks as even as I possibly can get it. Now you want to pull up and make sure that it's not impeding those score lines. If it is, push it back So that's better, and that's good. Now once I get that glued in, I'm going to open everything up, and then I'm going to really give it a good rub. Probably even take my bone folder and just go over it really well. Just like that. And this is actually, we have one more thing to do. So let's close the center, close this one, and we have two pieces to put on here. And that is these two pieces here that we cut. And one of these is going to go on the front of this. So what this is going to do is going to glue right to the front of this, just like that. This is going to form another pocket right here. So again, we're going to look at our, this is 7 inches, so this will be real easy because we know it's 3.5. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to center it up, and all I have to do is make sure that my edges are at 3.5 and 3.5 and 3.5, and that's my center. I am going to put a dot right there, and then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to bring my ruler to the edge, make sure it's 3.5, 3.5, and put a dot right there. Then it's going to be so easy to take my punch and go in about like that. Punch that out, come back over to this side and do the same thing, punch that out, and we are ready now to glue our last pieces on. So what I like to do is close everything down here, and if you need to, you can lay a bone folder on it just to hold it, because all we're going to do now is glue this nice and even. Let that score line be your guide, because you don't want anything that's going to impede, but you want it to go perfectly even to that outside edge. So we are going to do the same thing we've been doing. We're going to put glue down the side, nice even line across the bottom, and then up this on this side over here, and then we're going to push that down, bring this right up to it, make sure it's pressed down good. I'm going to push that in just a little bit to make that pocket, and I'm pressing. I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to give a good press here, and that's one panel on with a pocket. And then we're going to do the same thing over here on this side. We are going to fold this over, and we're going to put a nice little line of glue on each side across the bottom and down the side. We're going to do the same thing again. We're going to press that flat down to the table. We're going to bring this piece over, line it up, press it down, squeeze that pocket just a tiny bit, press it, and then we're going to take our bone folder and press that down, press it down here and across here, and that gave us our closing. So there is the beginning of our folio. Now if you want to follow with me, go ahead and get out your cardstock and get caught up to this point. And what we're going to do tomorrow, we're going to decorate this. So I will have all of my pieces of pattern paper cut and ready to go on, and you can use any pack of pattern paper or DSP that you like. I'm going to pick out something really pretty from my my designer series paper that's current. And like I said, I chose black because everything goes well with black. I hope you've enjoyed the process of this. If you're interested in any Stampin' Up! Products, I would certainly appreciate your business. You can find all my information under this video, along with my blog that will have all of the cutting measurements for what we have done thus far. So thank you again so much for tuning in. God bless and keep you. And as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is worthy. God bless and keep you. I love you all. Bye-bye.